So in my most recent video covering Intel, I said if the stock could stay above current support at 2062, then look for a run to 2241. And if the stock could get above that level, then look for a run to $24 per share. Take a listen. Now to the upside, if buyers can keep the stock above 2062, then I want you guys to look for a 8% run to 2241. And if they can get above this level and use it as support, then look for a run to $24 per share. And from current price, that would be a return of over 16%. So in total, that was a move of over 15%. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, you are missing out. 1, my analysis is for free, and 2, they're highly accurate. Now let's jump over to HIMS stock, ticker symbol HIMS. So 2 days ago, I said if the stock could not stay above 47.82, then look for a pullback to $46. Take a listen. Let's begin with HIMS, ticker symbol HIMS. So current support for HIMS is going to be at 47.82. If the stock cannot stay above this level, then look for a 3% pullback to $46. At this point, guys, I am absolutely surprising myself with these price predictions. Now, jumping back to Intel, here's the latest news surrounding the company that did end up causing the share price to increase yesterday. Take a listen.
Patrick Moorhead, he is CEO and Chief Analyst of More Insights and Strategy. Again, I want to be clear, we don't know anything. We don't know any potential terms. We don't even know if it's going to happen, Patrick. But what was sort of your initial reaction, your hot take to the Intel news yesterday?
Well, I called this a week before, and I do believe that the U.S. government will put an investment into the Intel foundry.
Now, if you watch my recent analysis on Intel stock, he's pretty much saying something similar to what I said. I won't repeat it right now, but if you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out.
Side of the company, because it just makes sense, because that we need a strong Intel foundry to win the AI race that everybody's talking about. And Intel is the only American company that is creating leading edge foundry, and the only American company to create the intellectual property that goes into building the leading edge and bleeding edge chips. And this is a very important distinction.
Fair. But when I first heard the news, and I'm just a jaded old news guy, was that my first thought was, I was thinking about cash for clunkers. If you remember that, 2008, 2009, sort of the bailout, the investments in Detroit. Right. How is this, if it happens, we don't know the terms, if it were to happen, how is this not that?
That's right. And I mean, Palantir, the CIA's venture arm owns part of Palantir. So that was a winner. But I do understand the GM, Chrysler, and AIG. I think the big difference here is that having a strong auto industry is not necessarily about the future of the country's defense. I'm sure that some people would argue that I'm wrong. But to bring out the highest performance chips here in the United States, we need somebody on U.S. soil to be able to do this. Think about potentially if Taiwan gets invaded by China. Literally, we would not be able to advance the art of manufacturing, even with anybody's foundry, whether it's TSMC or Samsung, here on U.S. soil. And then we'd have to negotiate with the Chinese to see if we could get some of that intellectual property to be able to build it, or if they would even sell us the chips.
I get the national security point, and TSMC is rapidly adding capacity at the Phoenix, Arizona factory. We were there just a couple of months ago. We interviewed Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. So you would view this not as a, quote, bailout, if indeed it happened, but rather a strategic security investment. So if that was the case, and Patrick Moorhead was kind of running the show, where else should the government invest?
Well, we've already seen them invest in rare earth minerals with MP materials.
Yep.
Right? That was a relatively new one. And
well, to be fair, I was not. I'm gonna pat my back here. My producer Harriet Taylor and I have been to that mine twice, both on air. And the last time we were there, a member of the Department of Defense was there, just kind of poking around, and we mentioned that on the air. So I'm going to give CNBC a little shout out that we're 2 for 2 on some of these places.
No, that is good. And, I'm 1 for 1 at least on this investment. We'll see what's going to happen here. But I also think there's going to be other investors. I do believe that we'll see a consortium of designer chip companies, from the AMDs to the Qualcomms, NVIDIAs, the Broadcoms, folks like that, who some of them, not all of them, will likely invest. We could also see some hyperscalers invest, because if you see, all of the hyperscalers are doing their own chips now, and they have the capex, they have the money, and quite frankly, the $40 billion that is required, it's not nothing, but in aggregate, if I look at the capex and I look at the value plus the potential national security.
Now, overall, I am bullish on Intel's stock. So despite any pullback, my target remains at $38 per share. Now, if you go ahead and take a look at the recent pattern that Intel broke out of, this is known as a broadening wedge, which is a bullish pattern. And when I zoom out, what do you guys see? It's the same exact pattern. So sooner or later, we're going to have this pattern play out how this pattern down here played out. And that is going to result in a massive move towards the upside. That said, current support for Intel is going to be at $24. If the stock falls below this level, then look for a pullback to $22.41. And if that level breaks, then look for a further pullback to $20.62. Now, to the upside, if Intel can stay above $24 per share, then look for a 7% run to $26.27. And if buyers can get above this level and use it as support, then look for a run to $28.34. And from current price, that would be a return of over 15%. Alright guys, if you liked today's video, leave a like, leave a comment, and if you're not yet subscribed, do consider subscribing. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.